Hello and welcome to another Dead Pixel, podcast about TV, games, entertainment, life, a little bit of everything in between. My name is Joe, and with me, the man who wants to see if he can get upstage with any political figure, Nick. How you doing, Nick?
Pretty good, pretty good. So far, I have been able to get on stage with Joe Biden, Donald Trump, and Arnold Schwarzenegger, and also like a ton of governors that I'm not going to go into. But those are probably my top three claim to fame. I've been tackled all three of those times and lots of other times, and I've only broken about 15 bones. No, 16 bones. They had to reconstruct my jaw after the Biden one. That was kind of weird. But
Weird man, except he's the actual one who tackled you that time, which is just
yeah,
really odd.
yeah, dude, he was just like,
I mean,
what
he might
the?
have just fell down at the right moment, but just
He was like, what are you doing here? I think he did fall on me. I think he did fall on me, but he kind of tried to punch me. I don't know if he was trying to catch himself or punch me, but anyway, yeah. So I am definitely on the FBI watch list about 8 times. But yeah, otherwise, yeah, that's just a kind of a hobby of mine. I don't like to mention it.
Okay. That explains why, you shaved the beard a little while ago.
Yeah, you
Trying
have
to.
to change the look every once in a while. But anyway, how are you doing, Joe?
All right, doing all right, doing all right. Yeah, just you know, uh, slowly piecing together a new PC. Yeah, I bought some major components, but then at the same time, now uh, I'm trying to put everything else together, and that becomes a really pricey, time. I'm looking at here, the actual chassis, the case, water cooling, multiple radiators, fans. PC fans are just outrageously expensive. You spend more on fans than you do on the actual case itself.
Dang.
Um, yeah, it's nuts. I should correct myself. You pay more if you want the RGB. And if you're going to be water cooling, you might as well look as pretty as possible. So I'm trying to get this light bright set up, and yeah, so hopefully maybe in a couple weeks I'll actually have it finished. Maybe just post it in the background, just chilling nonchalantly as it like illuminates the surrounding area.
That'll be tight. It'll be tight. Can't wait to see it.
Yeah, we'll see. But yeah, I don't know. Outside of that, you've been doing good.
Good. Yeah, I've been doing pretty good. Uh, been busy. Haven't had a chance to play too much in the way of games or watch too much, but there's been a lot that's going on, so I'm excited to talk about that and see your
Yeah, let's roll
opinion.
right into that, man.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I guess I'll start with that. Yeah, so there was a guy that leaked some Starfield footage on his YouTube account, um, and he was arrested. And they're finding him. Let me look if I can see real quick. He's facing a felony charge. So felony is not fun to have on your record. But the felony charge can be between $2,500 and $10,000. A misdemeanor charge for $1,000. Sorry, I'm reading this wrong. Basically, felony charge for $2,500 to $10,000 worth of stolen property, and a misdemeanor charge for 1,000 or less of stolen property, and a misdemeanor charge for possession of marijuana. So that was also involved there. I think this is in Tennessee, but anyway, so uh, yeah, he even gave a review of the game. He said a couple of different things about it. I'm not gonna say, but I thought it was kind of funny. But yeah, I'm kind of glad. I'm not glad that someone stole this stuff or that they're having to be punished, but I think that it's it's something that's good overall because a lot of these times leakers and stuff, you don't. I mean, I guess they're smart enough to not get caught or not get their name attached to it, but I think it's good for people to pay the price a little bit because there's a lot of people's
So
jobs on
did
the line
they?
and a lot of stuff like that.
I was gonna say. So how did they say how he got a hold of the information, or like, because it sounds like it wasn't just a, hey, I bought a copy early because Walmart happened to sell it by accident.
No, they don't say exactly. I didn't scour the article. It's not a very long article, but basically, they don't know. I feel like I could read it here. This is from Video Games Chronicle if you want to read it, but basically they don't know how he got a copy of the game or whatever he got, but he was trying to sell. Actually, he got okay. It's alleged that Harris was responsible for uploading listings for multiple copies of the game, including its $300 Constellation Edition. Trying to put that on Mercari. Um, it doesn't say. I don't think that how he got it yet, but maybe that's all part of the legal proceedings. But it sounds like he probably came by it like extra legally. Probably stole it. Maybe he probably he probably maybe broke in somewhere and found it and stuff like that.
Well,
But
that's the thing is like, is it, because, is it someone who stole it from their workplace, like a GameStop employee who's just like, yeah, yeah, I know I'm not supposed to open it, but I'm taking this home anyways.
no,
But in that case,
I
you're a
don't
fool. But
I don't get the feeling that it's like that. Just because of how many how many copies he is alleged to have had, and that he has like a nice addition. It seems to me like he probably got in somewhere with where he wasn't supposed to. Because I could understand one copy. I could understand that being like, oh, he found a loose one somewhere as an employee or something. But with that kind of many things, it seems kind of like he maybe did a little bit of illegal activity to get a hold of it.
Well,
But
you'll see that often on Facebook Marketplace where people will show a picture and they'll be trying to sell a whole row of a game. I remember when Hogwarts came out, like something like 3 days beforehand, they were trying to sell it for like $100 a copy, and they showed their photo of like, of the entire case, and I'm like, all right, so you obviously stole that case from somewhere that was selling the game. Someone opened the back door, you slipped them some money or something. Uh, but then you're obviously trying to sell stolen merch. I mean, so because you're selling it pre-street date, and so when it comes to something like that, like usually if it's a single copy game and you did find it in the wild, I don't think they can really do much to you. Yeah, you're a jerk for spoiling everything, but at the same time, if you got it, if you actually can show a receipt for it or something like that, then you're usually safe. Um, but yeah, obviously trying to sell a bunch of stuff that they shouldn't have had access to. That sends up a red flag to a certain extent. So, uh, these guys need to be smart about it, I suppose. But
I guess
that does.
I guess I will go ahead and say one part of his review. He did like the game. He said that's a good game, y'all. Don't want to miss it. So he maybe maybe people could bump up his YouTube channel. He can make some money and pay off those legal fees.
uh,
I'm sorry.
it got the y'all marker, so yeah, you're good.
Yeah.
And all right, well, yeah, I don't know. People like to ruin it for everyone else. I was just like I said, I hadn't heard about this at all, so I was just curious if it was just like at first I thought maybe like employee leak or something like that, but no, if it's
Oh,
just like something like this, yeah, for sure.
yeah.
Uh, well, I'm kind of curious I'm curious at the end of the day what they'll actually be charged with, like, because there's always the threats of like with the max of this, but how
Well, I don't know
often
how
does that
much the
really happen?
fine's going to be. It was just the felony was based on, because I'm sorry, I misspoke early, but the felony was based on how much he stole. So there's different categories, like from this amount to this amount, we're going to hit you with this, and that's what that is. That $2,500 to $10,000 felony, like or amount, and that's like attached to a felony. But how much he'll actually, if he'll serve time, or if he'll be charged a big old fine, or what the fine would actually be, it remains to be seen.
Yeah, okay, that makes more sense because when I was working, when I was still at GameStop, they had whenever if we ever got something stolen, like one of my guys one night uh happened to grab a bunch of the games, but left, yeah, as he was grabbing more games, left them on the front counter, and apparently, the dude just snatched the games and ran out. But like, we couldn't really do too much. I'm like, like it was only, I think it was like 4 or 5 new copies of stuff, and I'm like, so at most you're looking at under $300 worth of merch, and I was like, yeah, there's not really much they can do about it. It's not a felony charge. If they did find the person, they really all they could do is get your stuff back and charge them a little bit. It's really a slap on the wrist because it's still under that. Like at the time, I think it was like 1,200 or something like was
Yeah,
the minimum charge you needed for or allotment stolen before it became an actual like felony or
you've
crime.
still got to be pretty
So
ballsy to grab the stuff off the counter and make a break for it. That's almost the same as like having it in your hand and just walking out the store with it.
yeah, it didn't happen like stuff like that usually didn't happen, but it's one of those like things like you got to keep the stuff on the back counter until you're ready to bag it,
Yeah,
Um,
live and learn.
but I mean, it's just, yeah, exactly. But it's still frustrating because you're like, wait a minute, even if they caught the guy, nothing can be done really. They're like, nah. Cops are like, no, nothing's gonna happen. I'm
Yeah.
like, well, thanks for upholding the justice system, guys. There's something broken with it's something broken with the system.
Yeah.
All right. So I guess in the big news, we got Gamescom going on. So it's going on right now. It's not finished yet, but a lot of big announcements and trailers and stuff has already hit. So we just got a list of some stuff that we found interesting. Um, one of the things I put down here was um, Black Myth Wukong. It's a Journey to the West style. It looks like action adventure style game, and it looks really good. I mean, granted, all these things are starting to look really solid. Um, and I was always a big fan of like the original Journey to the West. I'm kind of curious to see how they'll do this. The trailer is pretty striking though, because uh, all you do is you end up seeing this headless musician as he's playing the traditional like stringed instrument. And I'm like, wow, that is most definitely a severed head. You can see right, all the neck muscles.
Ugh.
Uh, yeah, it's a very unique. It's a good way to start a trailer because you're like, is he? Oh yeah, he's totally is. Um, and oh, there was Killing Floor 3. I've not been the biggest Killing Floor fan, but I have some friends who are really big into the series.
So,
And
sorry, real quick.
yeah.
So, I want to go back to Black Myth Wukong.
Oh yeah.
So, Black Myth, is that already its own franchise, or is just the way that they wanted to make their game? Is this like the first game in that? I've just always been confused about this, and I feel like this game's been on the way out for a while, and I don't know. I just didn't know if I missed it or not coming out.
I have not I have not seen anything about Black Myth, so I have no idea personally.
Yeah,
And this is the first time I've heard, or at least to my like, I think I'd have remembered, um, a Monkey King game.
yeah.
So yeah, I'm pretty sure this was a premiere, but I could be wrong. Um, but yeah, this because I hadn't heard anything about Black. Granted, there's a lot of other Chinese developed games, like Black Desert and stuff like that. So Black is not a uncommon title, and neither is Myth. So
Mm.
maybe you're just mashing a few things up.
Yeah,
Uh,
you got a good point
but yeah,
there. But anyway, I just wanted to ask. But okay, yeah, I'm looking forward to this game too. It looks pretty cool. I think the boss fights do look pretty awesome in it. But anyway, I was just wondering about that. So we can go on to
yeah.
Killing Floor.
Well, we're starting to get into the current generation games too. So you're getting a lot of those. A lot of stuff is coming out in Unreal Engine 5, which is going to really start being neat. And so yeah, that's one of the reasons why it looks so good. So hopefully, it should also perform just as good as it looks.
Yeah, I hope so.
But yeah, I was mentioning, yeah, it was just Killing Floor 3 was. I know it's on my friends' radars. I have a couple of them that just play, pretty regular. It's in their constant rotation of, hey, we got some time to kill. Let's just chat and play.
Yeah.
Just generally, multiplayer, PVE style. Fight a couple hordes, fight a boss, and rinse and repeat. And it because of that mentality, it wasn't really my cup of tea. But I can totally see the fun in it. But at the same time, I don't know, it's just a little repetitive. But man, the trailer looked really good. So, uh, you know, if you if you like a horror genre shooter, then give it a shot.
Do you think this game will come to Game Pass, or at
You know
least
what? Good question.
it seems
I don't
like,
think so.
because it's more of like it's more of a team game, right? It's more of a multiplayer than like any kind of campaign. So I just wonder if it might be like, oh, we need people to play this so that people will, pay money for whatever we have in there. It
But
just
the
seems like one of those games.
I don't see it as Game Pass. Well, let's see. Is it because I am trying to remember. I know the other ones have come out on multiple systems, so I'm not sure if this is Microsoft. Uh, if they get signed a license, but I remember the Killing Floor 2 came out on like everything.
Right.
So or Killing Floor 1 did as well. So um, I don't know if it's an Xbox exclusive, but I'm pretty sure it's coming out. I'm almost guaranteed it's coming out on PlayStation as well. So I'm gonna say it's probably not a Game Pass game.
Okay. Yeah.
If they can sign something with Game Pass, that would it's one of those things that it would help immensely with the bump of just hey, everyone, a lot more people have access to it. It's a low barrier to entry. That
Yeah.
would do it well. But
I think
Killing
that
Floor 1 and 2, yeah,
I was gonna say I think that would be the good move is like have it come out for 6 months and then go to Game Pass, and that way like you can continue to make sales and continue to grow the thing because I just don't know if the other partners Sony or whatever are gonna like that, but it's that's what I would try to do if I was the game maker maybe.
yeah. I mean, but they seem to have a pretty good following with Killing Floor 2. My buddies have bought it on multiple things on consoles and on PC. Uh, so it's one of those things that like people who love it really love it, and so long as they do more of the same, I mean, I'm pretty sure the everyone's going to be happy. Uh, Once again, just not my cup of tea. All right. So the next one we have down here is Little Nightmares 3. Um, I actually never played Little Nightmares 1 or 2. Um, in fact, I think Little Nightmares 1 I had originally gotten confused with Dreams, that like, sandbox creator
Yeah.
a long time ago. But this one caught my eye because it's this one's entirely done by Supermassive Games, and those are the guys who did um, Until Dawn and The Quarry, also uh, the Dark Chronicles series. So they have a really good idea of horror and that concept. But also this is a co-op game now, so I think that would be a lot more fun. And I think I can rope in my spouse to maybe playing because she absolutely hates horror games. She looks away when I play BioShock,
Yeah.
so it's
That's
just like
I mean
so
there's
long
some
as it's just
scary
just creepy enough. She's like, I really don't want to play this. So if it's co-op though, maybe I can force her into it, and it'd be that much more entertaining for me.
Yeah, there's some creepy spots in Bioshock, but it's not like traditional hardcore, like scare the crap out of you horror. But yeah, this is a little cuter. So it looks tense and it looks like scary, but it's like just looks scary. It's not actually trying to scare the crap out of you.
It feels like more like that Limbo
Yeah,
esque aesthetic, so
unsettling more than scary. Yeah. Yeah, I've always heard good things about Little Nightmares 1 and 2. They're super short games, but they're always on ultra sale. At least I've seen they're very very cheap to buy, and Supermassive taking it on is a good sign. I think the co-op. I think I heard on one of the videos I watched that the co-op is online, so that makes it a lot easier. If I'm correct on that, it makes it a lot easier to get someone to play. Um, so yeah, it's one of these days. I'm wondering if I'll just go back and just play all the Little Nightmares because they're not very long either. At least the first two. I don't know what this one's going to be, um, but it is definitely a game that I have passed over. I'll probably continue to pass over, but I've passed over many times, being like, dang, I kind of wish I could play that.
yeah. Like I said, I'm a fan of multiplayer games, and I think there's still a need for them. And they can make even like I said, I think this game's going to be just fine. But like even a mediocre game, so long as it's multiplayer, it makes it that much easier to play.
Oh yeah.
So all right, well, let's see. The next one we have here. Um, the first Descendant, and I had you just watch the trailer just before we started this, so I was kind of curious about your opinions on this.
Yeah, so it looks beautiful. It looks awesome. Like awesomely gorgeous. The fighting and stuff looks cool. The guns look cool. It definitely looks like a next gen game. It's I did read that it was a PVE style game with a campaign. Um, and someone described it as a looter shooter. I'm not a huge fan of looter shooters. They kind of wear on me a little bit, but if it has a campaign and a story, that definitely will make it go a very long way. And then maybe the looter shooter aspect can give the game, life online, a longer life online. But it definitely looks beautiful, and I'm excited to see what else people have to say about it. Not sure if I'll pick it up, but if I hear a lot of good things, I might have to.
Yeah, it's one of those things that I also really do not like looter shooters, but if it has a good story into it, then I'm most definitely into. I'm willing to put myself through it, especially if there's co-op. It's much like Borderlands and stuff like that. Those games by themselves are so-so, but with a friend, it's way more entertaining. But also, those games actually have a set story, and it's not a mindless grind just for the sake of grinding. So in this case, it's supposed to be 4 players, and so that sounds interesting to me. Also, it's supposed to have a open beta uh,
All
uh,
right.
as of September 19th through the 25th. So I'm actually kind of curious about maybe trying to check that out.
Yeah, I wonder will that be on PlayStation? Because I don't think my computer can run that. But if it's on PlayStation, I'd
Yes,
like to
it's
download
supposed to be on all the it's supposed to be on all the platforms. Or correction, um, all the good platforms. Uh,
it. Okay.
it's saying it's supposed to be current gen and last gen, so PS4, PS5, Xbox One and Series, and then Windows as well.
Okay. Okay.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
It
so that'd
definitely
be
looks.
neat to see.
Yeah, it definitely looks good. I will, if you remind me, I will. I will jump on that beta and see what it's like. I'm glad it's open and not closed. But I guess for a new IP, they probably want to get as many people involved as possible. But yeah, it looks good.
All right, and we have after that is Tekken 8. So they showed a new trailer for Tekken, and they have a release date of the 26th of January. So next year, after the holiday season. So
Yeah.
interesting spot.
Yeah, it's a little interesting, but I mean, like, I guess uh, Street Fighter came out in June. Um, I kind of thought that they might be trying to avoid that completely, but I think a Christmas release would have been okay. It would have made more sense if it was like a June 24, so they're a full year away from Street Fighter. But they are also having to watch out for Mortal Kombat, which I think is very close to coming out. I can't remember when that was supposed to come out, but so they have some things to watch out for in that way. And but then again, maybe they don't care and they're just trying to get the game fully polished, and that's just the earliest that they think that they can put it out. Um, Definitely don't want to put it out any earlier, even if you just want to try to catch the Christmas season. That's tempting, but really in the long run, it's not worth it. Honestly, not a lot comes.
Also gives a little cushion to be pushed back too. So if it doesn't happen to make that time, it's not like
Do or
they're
die.
not making any deadlines. So long as they do it before, is it the end of March usually is because
Yeah,
the fiscal year.
that's
But
what they're.
then
Yeah.
so Mortal Kombat is looking like September 14th.
Okay.
So pretty close. Yeah.
Yeah. So the other thing is that
They did show.
you go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say they did happen to show a new trailer for Mortal Kombat as well. But that's about it. It has more story and it looked pretty good. Um,
Yeah.
I haven't played a Mortal Kombat since like 10.
Yeah.
So
Not to jump off too much onto Mortal Kombat, but that buddy that I always talk about, who loves Mortal Kombat. It's like the only game that he plays, I think, at least the only one seriously. He was on the beta and he showed me some footage of him like juggling this guy, and it was pretty cool. It looked really good. It was a small screen, uh, that I was looking at, but it definitely looked pretty awesome. Going back to Tekken 8, yeah, like I don't know how much they are trying to avoid other games, or if they care. Um, but yeah, I kind of lost what I was going to say about that. Anyway, I kind of think that it'll be, um, to me, it's the second, Street Fighter's kind of king, and then Tekken is right behind them. Depending on your perspective, near or far, but I think pretty much everyone can agree that they're second. So that was it. So if they release in January or February, there's not a lot of games that really release around that time, so they actually might get a big bump by being like, hey, we're like the only brand new awesome game in town, and people are gonna be like, dang, I want a new game, and they'll go get it, So maybe that's a strategy.
Yeah. I liked 7 quite a bit, but it lost me after like the second or third DLC pack.
Yeah,
So yeah, they just kind of the DLC ended up out costing the game in the end, and then they kept on putting like the entire bundle on sale, but not the extra DLC. Like it was an annoying releasing of that. So I kind of felt like burned in the end because I don't think I ever did collect the entirety of the DLC. But also it was good first. It was like a good 3 months of playing, and then kind of just everyone else, including myself, just kind of fell off.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
yeah, but
I like
I do
Tekken
generally
7. It was
like a
good.
good Tekken. I'm just never good at it.
Yeah, I think they're maybe it's just because I played them more, but I think their theory on fighting games fits a little bit more than like Street Fighter does with me. I'm not really sure why. I guess I guess I just probably played it more, but I'm looking forward to playing it. But I still haven't played much Street Fighter, so I might just be playing that instead, and saving money.
Yeah, fair enough. All right, and then Diablo 4 is coming out with their a new expansion and or DLC, and it's Season of Blood. This is coming out on October 17th. Uh, has vampires now, so that's and then they're introducing a new character. Uh, that's really the gist I got from it. Uh, I'm currently playing through Diablo 4, so I guess slight spoilers. The fighting doesn't end; it continues. So now I have no desire to finish the game. No, I mean, no, it's I'm enjoying the game, and it's I'm glad they're bringing out extra stuff for it relatively soon after. So I mean, it's not you're not having to wait too long, but long enough there for all the hardcore fans to have already gone through. So yeah,
Okay.
you were playing it for a while too. I mean, we'll talk more about it during the games part. So I like to hear a little bit about your your setup and your time with it.
Yeah, I'll
And the
definitely talk
last
with you about that.
game that I'm going to mention for this list is going to be Alan Wake 2. Uh, I love me some Alan Wake. So
Well, I saw.
the
Go
yeah
ahead. Go ahead.
no
Okay,
no
okay.
it's just October 27th. Mark it.
Mark it on your
You know what to
calendar.
get for me for Christmas.
I think I already. It doesn't matter. Maybe I will, but we'll see. We'll see. If you're a good boy, then maybe you'll get Alan Wake too. What if I got it and sent it, and it was like just like a paper disc? Oh, I definitely
Well,
wouldn't.
now it won't be a surprise. All right.
Yeah, it'll be like a used something. I'm sorry, I should have said that. I'll bleep that out in post. Anyway,
You're too lazy and you forget about the timestamp. So
where's the time? There it is. Okay, I got the
uh,
timestamp. Okay. Anyway, I saw a shitty headline that I didn't click on because it was shitty, but it basically said that Alan Wake 2 was being pushed back slightly, and I thought it was being pushed out of October. But I just Googled it just to make sure that you weren't working with the old information, and it still says October 27th. So, did you see anything like that, or was it supposed to be earlier in the month?
I honestly don't remember it being early in the month, but all I know is there was a bunch of stuff coming out in October, and that was going to be a crazy time for us because we've talked about October through other um some of the other gaming events, and it's okay. You can be at the end of October, closer to Halloween. It doesn't matter. It
Yeah.
gives me that much more time to replay it beforehand. Because I think I need to do that. I haven't actually played the remastered version, so
Okay.
I will probably end up doing that myself.
Looks like, yeah, I just saw something on YouTube. Basically, it's an old video was saying that it was going to launch on October 17th, so they pushed it back uh,
Mm.
10 days, probably for whatever reason. But yeah, being right there next to
Diablo.
Halloween,
They had to stay clear of Diablo's expansion.
you
They just said
know,
it's October 17th now. They're like, well,
Diablo 4 is a big game. So I know that I've seen like Blizzard saying, "Oh, it's one of our biggest selling games and successful and stuff like that." So honestly, it's kind of weird, but it's probably you probably hit the nail on the head. They're probably just like, yeah, we're just gonna let those Diablo people have their fun, and they can get our game the week after or something. But yeah, okay, yeah, that I'm excited. I that is like the other game. That's actually probably the next game I'm gonna have to play is Alan Wake because I gotta get through that, and then I gotta get through Alan Wake 2, so that I can make you happy for some reason. Uh, anyway,
I mean, I could just walk you through it, I suppose. Just
just
watch me play it.
I could just watch it on YouTube too. But
Yeah, I
yeah,
know, but it's more fun if I make you endure like,
uh,
all of it.
is it though? Is it
Not just
worth
skip to the end.
more fun for who? No, yeah, I do want to play it. I've always wanted to play it, and dadgummit, I'm gonna play it.
All right. And then yeah, so that's about it for that I found super interesting from Gamescom. There is a lot of other, updates and other interesting, things and trailers, but uh those are the, key highlights that I wanted to go through. So, now to what we've been playing. I've been able to get my hands on a few different things lately. So I just finished the demo for Final Fantasy 16.
Mm,
So I went ahead and it was like, the 2 hour demo or whatever. Uh, I was actually surprised on. I thought it was well done. It had enough. I'm not a I kind of fell out of love with the JRPG concept. I'm granted this is an action game, so it's not turn based, and people are arguing this isn't a JRPG. I feel that with the storytelling, that actually is what affects a lot of it in my brain.
yeah,
And there's a lot of cutscenes, and I haven't played a game with this many cutscenes in a long, long time. But it's spaced out just enough to make it. It's just like a little bit of movement, a little cutscene, a little bit of movement, a little more cutscene, and uh,
just so you don't get
it
bored.
was. Yeah, I mean, it's not like you put down the controller and have it turn off. I wouldn't surprise me if later on they'll have the longer cutscenes to do that.
Yeah,
Uh, but yeah, it looks really good, plays pretty solid, and uh, the the story events of the demo kind of play out as you expect it to. I've heard that there's like, Game of Thrones inspired themes, stuff like, so you're like, okay, knowing that heads up, you're like, yeah, that person's gonna die. You're like, totally that person's goner. Um, but it was still enjoyable enough for me. But also, I never finished Game of Thrones because I didn't care. So I was never burnt out on it like other people have
that
been.
was the right
Uh,
move. That was the right move.
so that's the thing is that, like, because of that, I know I've heard other people kind of lament about, like, yeah, it just seemed like, about a little too much about how it's takes its storylines. But no, the demo is solid. It transfers over to the actual game, so I'm actually going to be picking up the game and trying to play a little bit of that in the near future. But out of what I did play, I enjoyed it, and which is more than I expected to say.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's good.
So,
That's good. I definitely want to play it, but yeah, I've only heard good things, honestly.
all right. And then I've been playing a bit of Gran Turismo 7. We talked about a little bit about this last time, but I invested in a wheel and
Yes, you did.
seat, the whole, yeah, like an idiot. But I got a really killer deal for it. So it's, had my father-in-law come, he came from out of town to watch the grandkids, and I'm like, check this out. Yeah,
Oh
that's
yeah.
right. Uh,
How did he react?
be jealous. So all right. They have PSVR one.
Right.
Got it for Beat Saber, and plays a few other games. He likes racing enough. He owns a wheel. Maybe not as nice as the one I got. But he bought it brand new. I got mine secondhand. Uh, but it was one of those things that he adapted to it way better than I expected. So, uh, Gran Turismo 7, when you're in VR, this is the first time I really felt like that, not really motion sickness, but you do feel loose. It's like that floaty feeling. So I'm like, well, if I was prone to motion sickness, I can easily see myself, someone getting motion sick.
Mm.
Uh, it was like you had to get your sea legs. It took a couple races to feel kind of comfortable, or like starting to get comfortable, but you still felt uneasy. And yeah, the
Wow.
first time he played a couple handful of races, and he had a good time. He really seemed to enjoy it, like genuine, like kind of wowing moments. Just like, you caress a hill and you kind of like feel the car lift up, and you kind of have that weight lift.
Uh,
You're like, wow, it's pretty impressive. And then our times weren't so great on the first day, but then we played again a couple days later, and yeah, he did so much better, and I did as well. But it's just like it just takes a little bit getting used to. But if you are prone to motion sickness, then most definitely mm, uh, come at it warily. So,
cautiously,
but
yeah.
I like it. It's a lot of fun. It's the best. It's I also haven't been into a racing game in quite a long time, and so this is the first time in a while that I'm like, wow, this is awesome. And now I have to buy extension cables because uh, the way my gaming setup is, the chair is too far back, so I happen to have an extra long HDMI cable. So I had to move the whole console like on a side table, uh, like to the off to the moment, because none of my other cables can reach while seated. So yeah, I'm like, nope, extension USB cable, extension USB-C cable for the headset, and one for the regular USB A cable for the steering wheel, and then I can move my PlayStation back to the appropriate spot. So I had to go the extra mile.
Yeah, Dan,
Uh,
that's awesome.
yeah,
I wish I had that set up. I hope that whenever I visit, that I can take a little, take it out for a little spin.
dude, it's totally worth it. It's a great experience. I understand immediately why it's on everyone's like top three PSVR game.
Yeah,
So yeah, I'm really enjoying it. And the last game I've been playing, which I mentioned before earlier in the news segment, was Diablo 4. So my wife and I are trying to take some time to play this one. So it's kind of hard to both have the schedule, like the availability. It's usually when all the kids are asleep, and just before, like, hey, do we want to call it a late night and not get appropriate sleep for the next morning? Sounds good. All right. And yeah, we've uh I forget. I'm playing a sorcerer, and she's playing a rogue, I think. Yeah, it's a rogue, right? Not a thief. So
yes, yeah, Rogue.
she's doing like a daggers build, and I'm doing I was doing a lightning build. So that's kind of our current setup. We're just like in the tutorial, just past the tutorial area. Um and it's all right. Already has way better story than the Diablo 3 did.
Hmm.
I was very disappointed in Diablo 3. Uh but yeah, it plays just like you expect. I can see Blizzard saying this is a better game, and it's doing better for them. But yeah, I don't know what how far have you gotten, and what are what's your build, man?
I did manage to beat the boss, the final boss, but I didn't play really any after that because I was trying to get back to Zelda. Um, but yeah, I was a necromancer, and I think I didn't really look up builds or anything. I just went with the most powerful item. Every time I saw green, I pretty much went with that. I did start getting into crafting armor and stuff later on, and to putting in gems and stuff like that. So I fiddle around with that stuff. But as far as like a particular certain kind of build, yeah, I think I ended up going with there was a long sword I had for a long time and a scythe for a while. Um, but I did put a lot of emphasis on my minions because I figured, well, Necromancer is probably the only one. Well, maybe Druid has some minions, but Necromancer is probably the one with like the hardest core minions. So they probably have given made that the best path. So I was like, all right, I'll do that. And I had they start you with a couple, with like three, I think, and then you can get more. I think you can get like, I think I had four shield and sword, three long range, and then one of the behemoth unit, and so I was able to get those and level them up, and yeah, it was good. It was good all the way through. Um, the story took me a little bit of a while to really get into. I thought it was okay starting out, but it took a little while for me to go, oh, okay, I see what they're trying to do here. And it was good. It was good though. I recommend playing it quite a bit. I had a friend that got really far into it very quickly, and he was like, "Don't skip stuff." He said to play all of the side stuff as you come to it, and I was like, "Yeah, I didn't do that, but I did." On his advice, play more of the side stuff, and a lot of it was it was good. It was worth going the short distance to go get it, to go get an extra, to go beat a side boss or to get some extra armor and stuff like that. It actually made the rest of the game a bit smoother, and it wasn't like boring or anything like that. So yeah, but I thought it was a good game overall. It is super fun.
Yeah, I also has a number of cutscenes, and dialogue, which I found entertaining, or at least better than nothing when compared to um, Redfall, which I still play with a buddy of mine. Uh, it is our weekly game. We play for like an hour and a half. We're almost done with that game, and
Just
it's just like it's disappointing, but it's fun in its own way. But it's like there's so much like when it comes to cutscenes and stuff like that, it's just like I am so much more appreciative of everything else. It makes me come back to other games and like, oh wow, I can see character models as they have dialogue and not just blank outlines.
it's
Yay!
just your weekly hate
So
session.
like I said, it's actually as far as shooting mechanics go, it's that's not bad. And it's just something that my buddy and I can just turn off our brains and just be like, hey, catch up on how things are going, and just it's almost like an idle game in the background. It's you know how you hear like, oh yeah, so a podcast is a good like podcast game like for gaming, like that game. It's like just the opposite. This is a good game for everything else. Like if you want it just in the background.
Yeah.
Um, not much real risk involved. We expect ourselves like we've oh it's there was a lot of potential. So if they ever get the budget to make a second game, or, like then you can see them doing some really neat stuff with it. It's just unfortunately it was a mess.
Yeah.
So, but enough about that mess. But no, I just found it funny that I saw. So you beat Diablo 4. I thought it was interesting how they make Lilith, her physique. She looks like she's made out of ballistics gel that you would for like like the Mythbusters or something. Like we're gonna shoot into this gelatin that's supposed to simulate a human body. It kind of looks something like that.
Yeah, she does look like that. That like translucent, veiny, bat-like
Like I can see
thing.
all the ribs through through your chest, and it's like, yeah, if you're like Jello, I just feel like you're not a formidable enemy. um, but yeah, you could just see her getting taken out by like a falling branch or something.
Yeah.
Uh, no, like the game so far I've been playing, it's okay, and it's better than I expected. Considering the fact that I walked away from Diablo 3 bitter, I guess is the best way to put it. Like I've tried playing it a handful of times, kept on making it to the desert, which is like the third part, like map, and never made it beyond that, just because it just was such a chore. But right now I'm having a good time with it, so which also pleasantly surprised. So like three games that I normally wouldn't touch, and I've been enjoying my time with all three. Unfortunately, haven't been able to dedicate myself solely to one, but that's okay.
That's
Still
yeah,
having a good time.
that's awesome, man. It's good.
All right. Yeah, and then I guess what we've been watching. So I'm just gonna give a couple updates here to some of the anime stuff. So yeah, we have stepped away from talking from anime for a while, but because we have another podcast, ADAP, another damn anime podcast, but that's going to be taking a hiatus for a little bit. So until then, we're
Well,
gonna fold in.
I will go ahead and say that I'm gonna post we are gonna post one more episode to wrap up the near anime special discussion that we were doing, so can put a nice little bow on that, and then yeah, Joe's right, we're gonna be taking a little hiatus from that. So the bad news is that's going on hiatus for a while. The good news is that anime is back in earnest on another Dead Pixel. So yeah. Yeah, go. So Joe, go ahead and take it away. What have you been watching?
All right. Well, last from a previous season, we have My Love Story with Yamada-kun, level 999. So that is actually getting an English dub. And so episode one just dropped the other week. And that was actually a pleasant surprise because I know a lot of people haven't really gotten around to it. I found that enjoyable. The I'm not sure how I feel about the English voices yet. I went through all the entire series in Japanese, so it's always that jarring, a little bit of jarringness of trying to get used to a new voice. I think they do just fine, but it's also one of the things that I'd like to listen to at least another episode before I make a full judgment. But I think they're all right. Um, and then you talked about starting to watch Zom 100, Bucket List of the Dead. Well, they've now since dubbed two episodes of that, and I hadn't unfortunately got a chance to watch it yet. But I actually was about to watch. I didn't know if you had seen it, so I was waiting before watching it just to get your opinion on it. But they did do Zom 100, Bucket List of the Dead, the movie live action. It's on Netflix, and I didn't know if you actually got around to seeing it. So
No, I did see it come out, but I wanted to watch the anime first. But now that it's being dubbed, I haven't gotten very much further. And now that it's being dubbed, I might just watch the dub instead because it's a little bit easier to when you don't have to pay 150% attention to a show. It's kind of nice, especially when it's anime where it's really not that hard to follow. It's just the subtitles that make it where you have to pay attention. So I might start doing that, but yeah, I don't know. I'm of two minds. I just don't know how the live action movie is gonna be. It just seems, I just don't know. I'm afraid. I've watched other live action Japanese stuff, and there's a bunch of it that's great, but sometimes that's really not. And I'm just worried that this is,
so
yeah.
yeah, so Netflix actually have it has the movie dubbed, and I'm like, all right, well, that's one less thing I have to pay attention to. And for me, I'm kind of on the idea of I might want to watch the movie before watching the anime because I'm watching the Cliff Notes version in movie form, and then if I like it enough, I can get the more fleshed out version in the anime, the series TV series form. So that's kind of the way I'm looking at it. Because generally, if you like the anime, but then the movie's a truncated version, like, well, they skipped this, this, and this. It's just like when you get angry, with book adaptations to movies, right? So it's always more enjoyable, I think, overall to watch the movie before reading the book because you're like, oh, that movie was pretty good, and then you're like, you read the book, you're like, oh, this book is so much better because they added so much. There's so much more that unlike the opposite when I read the book first and I'm like, all I can do is like, why did you change this? Wait, why are you missing this? You're skipping this entire thing, and I just get hung up on all the things that they're doing wrong,
Mm.
and it ruins the movie for me. Usually, so that's why I like to do it backwards. Granted, it means you have to wait longer, but yeah, it is what it is. So I'm actually really curious about it, but I didn't know if you saw it and what your thoughts were. But I might try to give it a shot. So
Yeah, we'll
we'll see.
if you do, please let me know. And yeah,
Okay.
I want to know about that.
All right. So they just recently Netflix also dropped the second half of Bakihama season two. I talked about how terrible the first half of season one was. Not a couple weeks or a couple episodes back about how it was on the another damn anime podcast, and essentially they made what originally was a grounded fighting show more and more ridiculous as seasons and series went on. They're like, how let's amp this up to the next level of stupidity, and let's just keep on going. And then the season two here started with them reviving a fossilized um, caveman who was frozen with dinosaurs. So he was there when the meteor impact happened, and he was fighting a T Rex, and they got frozen, and they were able to revive him through BS. And then all the people, because he's this apex of a man, all the macho fighters want to fight him, and essentially he's a hunter, so he whatever he defeats he eats. And so the fighters like, it's okay, he can eat me if I lose, but don't worry, I'm gonna win. And then like one dude gets his leg ripped off, another guy gets his arm ripped off, but they never let the caveman eat him alive. They were always like cutting, just like, oh no, we're gonna interfere now. So second half of the season is like one of the guys. He's a kung fu artist. He lost his leg, and now he has a peg leg. I mean, with all the world of prosthetics, he's choosing to go with a peg leg. Um, and like this is primarily all about him being a kung fu artist master, going into boxing rings and fighting boxers. Yeah, like most of the episode is all about him, and then a little bit about the person is named after, Bakihama, going out like and fighting his dad, or trying to have a relationship with his dad, who is the ogre slash like the most the human walking disaster. Um, and they did show Obama again in the recent episodes. Yeah, so they legit they don't call him Obama, but it's Obama. Uh,
Obama,
so
Obama.
it's
That's
pretty funny. So yeah, it's this is way more grounded than the previous season, like previous bit was. But this is like all just seems to be a boxing story arc for someone who's not the main character, and I'm like, it just makes no sense. It's so stupid. But it's way more grounded than anything else has been. I'm like, okay, whatever. And it's like a train wreck. I'm enjoying watching this terrible, terrible thing. Though, like I said, it's way better than them fighting a caveman. Uh,
that's awesome.
and the other thing I've been watching is, well, I finally finished Farming Life in Another World. Episode 12 released the other week and in English. So it has already been done. It's already been finished in Japanese a while now. Uh, and it was good. It was a nice, wholesome story. And then I happened to look at the comments, and I'm like, wait a minute. Someone had a spoiler-esque comment. I'm like, I read it. I'm like, huh. Apparently, because they always joke in the anime about it being very much a harem situation, but he doesn't allude to a lot of stuff. And um, in slight spoiler for the ending part of the series, he ends up having a child. And it's like, oh, okay, good on him. He's actually a main character who has a kid. Okay. Um, but apparently in the manga, and more so in the light novel, because I actually went back to double check this with the comments I read in the manga real quick, and they hint at a little bit more of him being a pervert, or
Oh,
not necessarily a pervert, but he's very, with his revitalized health, because he was a bedridden sick person, and that's how he died. He gets a healthy body, and so he's apparently very much more sexually active in the manga.
okay.
So the very much the first wife number one gets wife number two to come in. The wife number two is like, you're crazy, this is too much. And so that's just them kind of bringing more people in to help share the load, is what it is.
Oh, he's like so horny that like the wives they understand they need help to like
Yeah, so it's just like,
share the
that was
load.
unexpected. um,
Okay.
yeah. And then it's just so apparently he has in the light novel he has multiple kids with multiple partners. And it's just like okay, um, it's very subtly hinted in the manga, but it is more hinted, and it's almost nothing at all in the anime. So the anime, like, oh yeah, it's like I mean the manga I guess is still wholesome, but it's not. But apparently the it is uh more evident in the light novel. So I was like, okay, well, it's like I just like it was one of those things that like I just happened to see this person's comment post. And I went to the previous episode. I'm like, oh, they've been commenting like this entire time, and I just went back and I'm like, all right, so there's apparently an ongoing theme here, and I'm like, so yeah, it was a surprise to find out to say the least. It was funny, but yeah, so. Uh, what you thought was all about family is really all about family, I guess.
Really, it's all in the family.
But
Uh,
yeah, that's it's honestly it's a decent anime. You mentioned you got me interested into it when you watched it in Japanese. When you started it, this last season I think it was. So yeah, you watched the first couple episodes, commented on it, and so I was like, yeah, all right, well.
I
And then it got
watched
dubbed, and I'm like, all right, for sure.
I watched Farming Life.
You watched at least one the first episode or two.
I believe you. I just don't remember. I remember the cooking guy with the wolf. I remember that one. Well, I forgot what that one's called though. Um,
Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about, and
huh.
I didn't actually watch that one. I read the manga really far because I remember in the beginning it wasn't as big in the food. There was food involved, but like then every chapter just became about him cooking a new monster.
I did
But
not
yeah,
watch Farming Life in Another World. I planned to and meant to. Yeah, this is super
you
harem.
commented on episode one because that was the season of you being I'm gonna watch episode one of everything except for children's anime.
I don't think I got to this one. Wait, is this the one where the girl has like no? That's a different one.
No, 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 that's the hero's dead.
100%. I know what I said. I know I meant to do that, but I did not get to this one. I did not get to this one.
Ah,
But I
so
might.
we discover now that 80 AP is dead. That you're a big fat liar.
That's why I died. It's not
That's
dead.
why
It's
it's on
just.
hiatus.
It's
You just
not.
couldn't live with the shame of not actually watching the anime you said you watched.
I
You watched
yeah.
someone else's review.
I'm just too honorable. Yeah, I should do that. Just watch someone else's review. Yeah, yeah. It's not dead. It's
Then you
just
could work for IGN.
it's not. Or line detectives. It's it's not dead. It's just in a coma right now. Yeah. This gives me vibes of a different one that I can't think of right now. But okay, okay, yeah, I will. I if it's pretty decent, then I might
It's a really chill anime. It's like it
ultra
seriously
chill.
is. It's like it is just very much a dude lives his life. Everything seems to be like pretty happy. It's slightly funny, and it's just like it is like it is funny because like I said, not knowing anything else. It's like when I discovered it, I'm like, oh wow, that kind of puts a little different twist on things. But at the same time, like because by the time you make it to episode 10, that's when you find out his wife's pregnant, and you're like, oh, good for you, man.
Good
He's
for you,
actually
dude.
because until that point, he seems like he's like a monk, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh, yeah, but it's like it was a fun series, and um it was one of the few good things to make it out of last season for me because this current season ish
Yeah.
because it's been very disappointing.
Well,
So
yeah. It's there's hopefully usually one good takeaway, but um, yeah. So if you're finished with that, then I can talk about the one thing that
yeah,
I was kind of watching. So there's a channel on YouTube called Action Button. Have I mentioned this before? Okay. So there's a guy. The guy that runs it was a he worked for Kotaku, and I've been seeing his reviews pop up on my YouTube feed and just ignored it for like over a year probably. But there was one that he did uh, on Boku no Natsuyasumi, which is a play on words in Japanese. And we're not going to get into that, but he did it was 6 hours of talking about that game, and I was like, how just how. So I started to watch it and I gave it a good chance. And the guy's name is Tim Rogers, I think. And he's a good reviewer and he knows, he knows what he's talking about and stuff like that. But actually, what made me really pay attention to him and kind of keep watching and actually watch a lot of his other stuff. I'm almost through with another one of his, but it's also very long. But anyway, the thing that made me go, okay, this guy is for real, is he lived in Japan for 10 years and speaks fluent Japanese. And as someone who has studied Japanese and lived in Japan, I don't speak fluently, but as much as I have studied, I'm pretty sure he's legit. So so that was like a big plus. And also he has a lot of stories that he tells about living in Japan and having worked in the games industry there and here, and kind of tying it all together. And he did a Doom review that was pretty long. He did a Cyberpunk review that was really really long and kind of weird. I wish he hadn't. He did it in chapters, and you were supposed to pick chapters, and I didn't really care for that. I wish he'd just done it in one thing. But the one I'm watching right now, which is 5 hours and change, is uh, Tokimeki Memorial, which is a have you heard about this?
Oh, it's a classic. It
Super
is
classic.
a very much a classic.
He is going through that, and it kind of is a story about his journey through the game, and he kind of breaks it down for you in a interesting way that is also a review. So he is also being slightly critical of it, but in a very nuanced way. And yeah, so like that game and Boku no Natsu Yasumi, um, it's really useful because I will probably never play those games, even if I speak because Tokimeki Memorial was never translated, and it would be really hard for it to be translated. There are fan translations and
It
stuff,
yeah, I was gonna say it's been fan translated for sure, but
but
yeah.
but yeah, so that game, and the type of game that it is really not my cup of tea. Having to replay, basically reread everything and just choose options and stuff. That's not quite for me, maybe. So
For
it's
those who don't know, it's a dating sim. So
yeah,
but it plays out something
yeah. I should explain that.
like a multiple choice, choose your adventure style novel, like game. So you get to pick different scenarios, different people, choose what you do different days. So that's what it means by choosing, just going through and replaying. You're replaying play number two, everything the same except for maybe now you're going to be choosing to go home after school instead of staying after for a club or this, that, the other thing. So
Yeah,
yeah.
like without this game, there would be no Persona. There would be no Doki Doki Literature Club. There would be that. There's a whole like generation of games that just either wouldn't exist or would have been completely different. But it's really interesting to watch. So I recommend any of the reviews that he has on his channel Action Button on YouTube. Um, I haven't watched all of them, but they all seem to be of similar quality. I watched the Final Fantasy VII one as well, and the Final Fantasy VII remake one as well, and that was also very interesting. But yeah, so that's what I've been watching, and there's some other stuff here and there, but I'll let that simmer until next time.
Well, you can play Boku no Natsumi, the Doraemon version, and that's been translated to English, and so that you can get the quintessential version of that game.
Yeah, yeah. The Boku no Natsu Yasumi review of it was really good. He just reviewed the first one. He mentioned the other. There's like four total going through the
It's
PS3.
the latter ones are done by the same team who did Harvest Moon originally,
Yeah,
team Natsume, and like I said, the Doraemon was one of the latest iterations, and it's from all accounts a super solid game, even if you don't care about the Doraemon series, but the gameplay is really solid. But yeah, it's a farming sim essentially is what it is. To put it very bluntly, like it's there's a lot more to it than just that. Um, but yeah, it's that game is you put in a little bit of time, next thing you know, all your time goes away. If you've ever played a Harvest Moon, Stardew Valley, something like that, it's a big time sink. So yeah, no, all right, it's cool. Thanks for mentioning about Action Button. So speaking about Action Buttons, are you going to get yourself that new 8-bit Do Nintendo keyboard, mechanical keyboard with it comes with the two A B action buttons?
Probably, yeah. What is it, $100?
It's $100. They're hot, so they're hot swappable, which is actually what got me really excited because I didn't realize that at first,
Oh,
and which means you can swap out the keys if you want. Um,
well,
And it was funny because I showed it to the missus, and she saw the Famicom version, and she's like, "Oh man, those come with the hiragana keycaps." She's like, "I might have to get it now."
oh
Well, she
no.
saw it and she immediately liked it. She's like, "Oh, why? There's no reason not to get it." But then she saw the hiragana on the Famicom version, and I was leaning towards the Nintendo. Or I like them both.
When does it
So
come
we
out?
might end up. I don't actually remember. I just know it's pre-order. You can still pre-order it still. Um,
Oh, maybe I don't want
yeah,
to have to pre-order it, but um,
you pre-order it, and then you turn around and flip it.
but I'm broke and poor. I just want to be able to buy it whenever I finally have money again. Um, Dadgummit.
Stop going to the movies so often, son.
It's just this dumb stuff. I don't know. Yeah, I think I like the Super Nintendo or whatever.
The just the Nintendo, yeah, because
The
the N
gray
version or something like they call it
the
because they can't say NES.
oh
Um,
yeah, the gray version, whatever. That's mostly more gray or
yeah,
whatever. Anyway,
the black on the top having the little vertical lines just like the front of the Nintendo is a good callback. I like that, but there's something about the rustic Famicom color that I really do dig as well. But I
yeah,
mean, uh, if she ends up getting the Famicom version, then I am free to get myself the even though I already have a wireless keyboard, so it's completely pointless. But uh, yeah, I'm not sure if I'm gonna
you're
get
a
it. I
you're a
really want to though.
you're a bad friend. You're a bad
Oh,
friend for
because because I show you cool things to buy.
yes.
I show you like the near soundtrack on vinyl, and you're like, I'm gonna buy it now. Uh,
You know my taste too well. I found that near soundtrack. It was the Evangelion soundtrack
oh
that was on
yeah,
vinyl.
but that was only like $30. It was fine.
It wasn't really on sale though. I it was I this
I
would
think
be
we bought it for 24 instead of 30, so it was all
the
right.
problem with this keyboard is that it does not have a number pad. And I could get one, but I kind of need a number pad. If I was going to buy this, I would go take it to. Okay, so I work at a place. I'll just say I work at a place where there are plenty of video game nerds, and if I bought this, I would take it to work, and I'd be like the coolest guy in the office. That's what I was thinking. But I need an arm pad to do my freaking job sometimes. So I'm just trying to find ways to not buy it. But yeah, you've shown this to me before. I don't know. I'll have to think about it hard.
All right, well, just think about the action button and think about programming that one button to just Alt F4 whatever you want, so you can just smash it and be like close said window, close said program. You know, there you go.
Just smash it. September 20th. It's going to be on Amazon, so they'll probably keep making it. I don't know, dude. I don't know. All right.
Well, if you made it this far, we thank you very much. And yes, until next time, this has been another Dead Pixel, episode 51. Y'all take it easy.
Bye.